Hey there, Virgo. Welcome to your reading for mid-February 2026. You have this Maiden card. It says a new relationship blossoms. You have this Dragon card. It says strength and wisdom on it. Everybody's been getting stuff about love. As I said in the last set of readings, the eclipse we're going to have on the 17th is conjunct Venus, and eclipses can already bring in like faded connections and things like that. And so with it conjunct Venus, it definitely could bring in a faded love connection. And again, this doesn't have to be like love, like romantic love. It could be like a new friend or, like a new person that you will love, right? In a non-romantic sense. Could also be both. Whatever you're into, Virgo. But whatever it is, it's probably going to be very good. The other thing that I've noticed about this time, like the middle, the second half of February, is a lot of people have been getting these messages of strength, they've been it's been talking about like something about strength, but I think it's more. I guess what I'm trying to spit out here is it's more about like where you have had to be strong in the past, and I feel really good about it. It's almost like the universe or the readings have been saying that where it's like you're finally seeing the muscles that you've grown over the past maybe many years of like with whatever you've had to be strong with, and now you could be getting a result from that, which is great. You have the Page of Pentacles, the Star, and the Wheel of Fortune in your first row. Again, very positive reading. The readings have been much, much more positive than I thought they would be for the second half of the month, just based off of those eclipse readings. I still think the eclipse could be a little bit of a crazy time that day, the 17th, maybe even a couple days after. But again, the readings have been pretty positive. The Page of Pentacles could represent like communication. You have the Knight of Cups and the Page of Cups in this reading as well. So like I said, if you're looking for love, definitely could be communicating with a new person. Could be receiving communication from a new type of person as well, which would also be great. Page of Pentacles is usually like can be good news. Normally we consider knights to be messengers in the tarot, but I also consider the Page of Pentacles to be a messenger, and usually what the message we receive is good news. You have the Star. I definitely feel this month, the rest of the month, I would say maybe even the entire month of March. Obviously I'm going to be doing March readings, in a couple weeks or so, we'll see what comes up. But a lot of people have been getting these messages of needing to like really, 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 really take care of themselves right now and put themselves first. It just seems like our nervous system right now just cannot handle like too many burdens, right? It's like we're going to burn ourselves out very quickly. I think if we take on too many responsibilities or obligations, if we just say yes to everything, which, us spiritual people are very bad at that, right? We say yes to everything. So, I would say, like, I feel good about the Star, but I do think that it's saying, like, no fixing things right now, as in fixing other people, other people's problems or issues, things like that. It's really important, I think, that we put ourselves first because we only have so much time in the day. The other thing about the Star is that she needs to get into this pool of water right here. That is the pool of universal consciousness. So if she's going to accomplish something great in her life, she needs to like weave her energy and herself into the fabric of the universe. That's what the Star wants us to do, wants us to become a part of something, right? And so I feel that a lot of you could be thinking about something that you want to become a part of, like a goal, wish, dream, whatever. And now would be a good time to do it, Virgo. You have the Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune could be a change in your luck or a change in your fortunes. I do feel it's like a pretty lucky reading. This is obviously luck that you've created. So a lot of you could be experiencing some improvements. I think you need to take like, it's like there might be small clues here is the word that is popping into my head with the Wheel of Fortune. I only do YouTube for my whole entire life 24/7, so that's the example that I'm going to use, but whatever you do, it doesn't matter. But it's like, imagine if you had a YouTube channel, right? And imagine if normally you get like 100 views a video. It's like maybe you put out a video and you get like 127 views, right? That's what you need to pay attention to with this Wheel of Fortune. It's almost like success is leaving clues, but small clues. If you just paid attention to that small clue, even if it's just a little bit more, I think it would make all the difference in the world for you, Virgo, because it's like those small clues are going to lead you in the right direction to much bigger results than just 27 views, right? So obviously, I'm not saying that you have a YouTube channel, but you're going to have to look at the things you're working on, and you're going to have to say to yourself, where have I gotten just a little bit extra, just a little bit more. And I feel if you would move towards whatever that is, like double down on it, you're going to see a lot more success moving forward. So, it's not going to be 27 in the future is what I'm trying to say. It's going to be like 27 million in the future if you do it. So, there you go. With the Page of Pentacles, you have the Queen of Pentacles, which is good. Money looks pretty good right now. I do think there are some benefits to like both Neptune and Saturn having moved into Aries. This will be published on the 7th. So if you're watching this before the 13th, Saturn is not in Aries yet. But if you're watching it after the 13th, great. Then, and this reading's for the middle of the month anyway. So by the middle of the month, it'll be there. I feel that a lot of people could be kind of like taking responsibility for the right things and things that are actually working. Queen of Pentacles is resourcefulness. And so when she works on like a project, an idea, business, a relationship, whatever, she is saying to herself, does this give me more resources or does it take resources from me? And I think if you pay attention to that, again, that will lead to more success. With the Star, you have the Two of Swords. Yes, just needing to get into that pool of water. Two of Swords is like being stuck in a stalemate, trying to make a decision, and thinking that something is going to only go one way. I keep telling people that, like, I'm not trying to be mysterious when I say this, but anything that you think you're going to do, it's like the outcome is not going to be what you think. And again, this isn't like a mystery thing or anything like that. It's just like, I think we all have had big dreams because of Neptune and Pisces. Now Neptune's in Aries. It's like, okay, like get moving on that big dream. But also the outcome is probably going to be different than you think. The reason I feel like I need to say it is because it's like we have to follow our inspirations with this energy. And so we might be inspired by a new direction and we might be thinking, oh, this is taking me away from my goal. But really it's not. So, we need to kind of like be flexible in that sense. And that's what I would do there. With the Wheel of Fortune, you have the Eight of Cups. Yeah, everybody's probably going to get the Eight of Cups. You have it twice. You start and end with the Eight of Cups. Again, Eight of Cups is the only card in the tarot that has an eclipse on it. And it is a card of walking away from things that no longer serve you. As I have said to others, this eclipse being in Aquarius, it's a really good eclipse for making space for something better. Next, in the area of what's coming in for you, you have this Chiron card. It says heal on it. You have this 4th house card. It says home on it as well. So there has been a lot of healing in these readings as well. So it could be an excellent time to heal anything that you want to heal in your life. You could be healing from home. You could be healing the home as well. And so I think all that energy is going to be really good. You have the Knight of Cups, the 7 of Cups, and the 10 of Wands. Knight of Cups could be a Knight in Shining Armor coming in for you. We go down to the 6 of Cups, to the Page of Swords, Page of Cups as well. So again, clearly there could be like an admirer. Page of Swords and Page of Cups to me is like a secret admirer. It, could be you admiring a person secretly or they admire you secretly. Will the secret come out? I don't know. Let's find out, Virgo. We're going to find out in this reading. I would say probably because it's coming up. The Page of Swords is coming up in the good stuff, which is, probably saying it's not going to stay a secret forever, although we'll find out in a minute. I also think that it's definitely time for you to work on a dream. The Knight of Cups is very dreamy. He has a big dream. And there are a couple of signs, you, Pisces, Leo, Capricorn. I think, pretty much, like I think everybody does, but I think those 4 signs I just mentioned need to do it extra more, work on a big dream. You have the 7 of Cups. The problem with the 7 of Cups is he's dreaming of a big dream, but he's thinking about all the good things and bad things that could happen. I always say with the 7 of Cups to, don't cheat yourself out of something that could be very good for you. The problem with the 7 of Cups is like the fact that he might not follow through on a dream and he might say to himself, well, it would have never worked anyway because there was this bad thing in this cup, right? But he doesn't know that. He's just assuming that something wouldn't have worked because there was one bad thing in a cup, but he never actually tried it. So he really can't say that it would have worked or not. So 7 of Cups says we need to make sure that we're not cheating ourselves out of something that could be good for us. I also do feel kind of good about this card as in options. So I feel that if you have been trying to work towards something in life, you could be finally like opening up to more options or opportunities on how to accomplish it. And obviously that would be very good with this card. You have the Ten of Wands. Ten of Wands can be carrying a heavy burden, carrying too much weight. Again, I think this is going to be a very common message during these readings because of this eclipse. I think that part of this eclipse is asking us to remove responsibilities and obligations that don't belong to us. It's Aquarius, it's kind of mental. It's happening right before we have Uranus moving into Gemini, which is a very mental energy, and Uranus will move into Gemini in April. The thing that I feel about the astrology is that it's like the universe is preparing us to be open mentally, if that makes sense. It's like if we have a bunch of mental burdens, if we're taking care of a billion problems in our life that don't belong to us, it's like we're not going to have the room to download that information from Uranus and Gemini. So, I think it's a good time to, look at things that you think about the most throughout the day. Some of those things are going to be important. Some of those things are just going to be a time suck, right? And those are the things that you need to, take care of or get rid of, or say, I'm not responsible for this, or, whatever you need to do. And yeah, that's what I would do. With the Knight of Cups, you have the Chariot, which is amazing, charging right towards a victory, charging right towards success. So love it. The Chariot is also about being in alignment with a goal or whatever you're trying to achieve. He has these stars up here, these moons on his shoulders, represents as above, so below. So he gets what he wants because he's in perfect alignment with what he wants. And that's all you have to do here, Virgo, is get into alignment. With the Seven of Cups, you have the Page of Swords. Page of Swords again. So like I said, we have 3 pages here. This could be the stages of your admirer. It's like Page of Pentacles could be becoming interested in the past in a new person. Page of Swords is spying, stalking their Facebook, running their credit report, stalking their parents on Facebook, trying to figure them out, looking at their house on Redfin, stuff like that. The normal stuff that you probably do, right? Page of Cups would be like making the offer, or actually talking to the person instead of looking out their layout on the Redfin and being like, oh, a baby's crib would look good in this room here, or something like that. It's like, don't get to that stage here, Virgo. With the Ten of Wands, you have the Sun, which is amazing. Definitely very good. We have the Sun and the Star, which is like fame and fortune. The sun is about ease. The sun says you need to make your life easier. This baby or child, speaking of babies, is carrying this heavy banner. The baby is meant to look like something that's very heavy, but the child is carrying it very easily. So the sun doesn't say your life is going to be easy. It says, what do you need to do to lighten the load, right? That Ten of Wands is absolutely asking you, Virgo, to lighten the load, to release the burdens that you've been carrying in some area of your life. Next, in the area of messages from your future self, you have this Stay in Integrity card. You also have this Cleansing card. Yeah, like I said, amazing time for healing, especially around the eclipse. Again, I think it would be good for everyone to, pick one thing that could improve their literal health, at the time of the eclipse on the 17th. So that might be a good activity. What I said to someone else is I think that, around the eclipse, and again, remember, eclipse energy lasts for like 6 months after the eclipse. So, within the next 6 months, doing something nice for yourself, or really doing, developing a practice of self-care. There's something about like responsibility and self-care. It's like it's almost like if you have too much responsibility, you're putting too much pressure on your nervous system, and it's like that could be causing some problems. So I think the readings have been kind of encouraging people to find that like static release, where it's like you have something that discharges the energy inside of you, and it could be like a self-care practice or something like that. And I just think it would be good for everyone to find it. You have the Queen of Wands, the Six of Cups, and the Page of Cups. Queen of Wands is about being bold, being assertive, really going for what you want. She moves towards the sun. You have the sun in this reading. So the sun is joy, happiness, peace, desire, things that she wants, and she just moves in that direction. Again, I think it's critically important for spiritual people to be doing what she does. She does not do what everyone else does. She does, what she wants to do, right? She has this black cat right here. And during the times of tarot, black cats were very unlucky. And so the whole point of the black cat, she doesn't care. She just likes the black cat. And so she's not listening to anyone that's telling her, like, oh, you shouldn't have that cat, right? And that's the whole point. I think this is going to be a very popular card over the coming years, even, at least in my readings, because I think it's the time that we're in. We have to, like, go our own way. We have to be willing to get the arrows in your back, right? They say that the innovators are the people who end up with the arrows in their back. Like, if you're the first to do something, you take all the criticism and all the whatever, right? And so in some ways, is this a bad thing? No. They're not literal arrows, so there's really nothing to worry about. But what I would say is I think we have to be willing to be innovative in our life and not follow the crowd. And it's like up to us to make sure we do that. Virgo, also, by the way, make sure to leave a like, drop a comment. Really helps me out. You have the Six of Cups. Six of Cups could be a soulmate. Like, again, I don't personally read it as someone from the past. It is a card of innocence and nostalgia. Can represent thinking about the past, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it is someone coming from the past. But definitely could be love coming in for you with the Six of Cups. You have the Page of Cups. So, like I said, admirer, secret admirer, whatever you want to call it. Definitely could be a new person coming in. Could be making you an offer. You could be making an offer, whatever. Take it how it resonates. But definitely looks good if you're looking for love. I also think that with the Page of Cups, we need to capture this fish that's in that cup. That fish could be a dream. It could be something that we think doesn't exist. There's a theory with the Page of Cups that could be his pet. It could be his imagination. He could be imagining that fish, or it could be a fish he just caught. But the whole point of the fish is he needs to grab onto it and bring it down to earth. So I feel that a lot of you, this is about, like I said, weaving yourself into the universe with that star card and making something a part of who you are. And, this could be like a habit, a hobby, an interest, a business you want to have, and all this other stuff. Now, is it healthy to make your business your life? No, it's probably not. But that's not really what we're talking about, right? We're not talking about something that consumes you. We're saying this is going to be a part of you. It's going to flow through you, right? There's a big difference between those two things. So I think that you are discovering something that more flows through you. It becomes a part of who you are. And that's very powerful, Virgo. With the Queen of Wands, you have the Six of Pentacles. Yeah, time to get started here. It's time to take that first step, right? Six of Pentacles is planting seeds in a direction. So we have to take one step, see if it works, see if it doesn't. Then we have to take another one, and we have to kind of do that on our journey. And so it very much is a reading of you kind of starting this new journey that could lead to a lot of success. With the Six of Cups, you have the Nine of Wands. You have two sixes here, by the way. Two sixes is like being on the right path. I love two sixes in a reading touching like this because it says you're on the right path. The Nine of Wands is like the wounded warrior. Some of you could be like healing wounds in love or needing to. Nine of Wands says don't give up. So if you want love, I definitely wouldn't give up on love. Nine of Wands is also kind of my card of trying one more time. So, maybe some of you have said you're done with love, but maybe you meet a person this month where you're like, you know what, I'll give it one more shot. And, the Nine of Wands, of course, we want to have boundaries, but we do need to be open. On top of all that, the Nine of Wands is my card of throwing stuff at the wall and seeing what sticks. I think it is an amazing time to throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. We can't just Seven of Cups. We can't just dream of something and not do it. We have to come up with an idea and we have to see if it works or it doesn't. And, that's what I would do with that card. With the Page of Cups here you go. You have the Ten of Pentacles, which is amazing. Ten of Pentacles is everything you want and desire in your life. It's like building or leaving a legacy. So, some of you could be building or leaving a legacy or creating a legacy with a person. This is like a big picture thing. It's everything that you want. And so a lot of you could be working towards that. Again, I always say we don't get this overnight. It's something we work on forever. So a lot of you could really be working on building a legacy. Next, in the area of the good stuff, you have this exchange gifts card. It says there's a dance of give and take. What you give, you will get back. You have the soul family card. It says prepare to meet those who share a similar frequency level as you. And so, yes, I think there is a dance of give and take. I think the trick is to give more to yourself, Virgo, as I said. A lot of you, I do think there are going to be a lot of social changes for Virgo over the coming years. Like this is not just this month. This is going to be a big theme for Virgo. I think a lot of it has to do with self-love. I could babble on about this all day long, so I'll spare you the details, Virgo. But a couple years ago, I was talking about how love changed for you, and how maybe your connections were have always filled in some sort of gap that was left by like your parents, or something that you feel like you didn't have. I think Virgo has been on a long journey of learning how to love themselves, basically. And so now the connections, not just love, but all connections in your life can come from a better place. And again, this is a big theme for Virgo. I love it for Virgo. I think it's a good thing. It's like you're going to feel more supported, more like your connections actually mean something, all of that. You have the Eight of Cups, Two of Pentacles, and the Page of Swords. Eight of Cups is about walking away from things that no longer serve you. And so, yes, I think that a lot of you could be walking away from things that no longer serve you with the Eight of Cups. Very common eclipse card. Comes up every eclipse that when I do a reading for it. So, it makes perfect sense to me that people are just like, oh, these things no longer serve me. I need to make space. Again, especially with an Aquarius eclipse, we absolutely need to make space with an Aquarius eclipse. That doesn't mean you have to completely remove something from your life, but definitely if there is something that no longer serves you, getting rid of it would be a good thing to do. But we can also choose to alchemize something with an eclipse. We could just turn one thing into another. So again, you don't have to if you have a job and you hate it, you don't have to necessarily quit, but you could make some sort of change that would make it better. And that's what I would be thinking about with that card. You have the Two of Pentacles, more fun. We need more fun, more joy, more peace, more happiness on Earth. So again, we are the ones that are going to do it. It's not going to be the government, the aliens. Definitely not going to be that frickin' nerd Mark Zuckerberg who's going to save us, or any of the other frickin' nerds that are trying to get us into some sort of satanic hellhole that they're trying to create, right? It's like it is my mission to stop that from happening, for sure, right? To stop the nerds, the revenge of the nerds, basically, is what I'm going to call it, because they're all a bunch of weirdos now. That's been proven time and time again. So I've seen enough, right? And basically, yeah, sorry that you were made fun of in school, but you don't need to drag down the entire society into your hellscape that you're trying to create, right? So again, our only option, more love, joy, peace, happiness, to choose different, and that's all we can do. You have the Page of Swords. Again, I don't know. Someone's watching someone here. You're both watching each other. Like I said, I feel like this has gotten to the Redfin level. So, if it's you that has gotten to, I'm not calling you out here, Virgo, but if you've gotten to the Redfin stage, it might be time to open your mouth, flirt with a person, talk to a person, something like that, right? So there you go. But let's see where this is going, Virgo. With the Eight of Cups, you have the Ten of Wands, which you have twice, going this way. We're right here. So I think a lot of you are releasing burdens. It's coming up in the good stuff, which is great. He's very close to achieving his goal. He's almost at his home, and he's carrying his harvest. So, like I said, looks like a lot of you could be having a harvest at this time, which is excellent, Virgo. With the Two of Pentacles, you have the Three of Wands. Yeah, wasn't it you that I said something about the bubble too? I'm pretty sure. I was talking about how it's like I feel this bubble energy for Virgo or something, where it's like you get close to bursting the bubble. The bubble needs to burst in Virgo's life, is what I feel. But this is not a bad bubble, right? This is a good thing. It's like the bubble is maybe you start projects, for example, you always expand out, you get to a certain point, and then you contract. You never get to that point where you move past something, or have the actual win, or whatever you want to call it. And so I feel like this is pushing past that point where you normally give up on something and going a little bit further is really what this energy is saying. With the Page of Swords, you have the Justice card. It's kind of not an answer, as to whether or not this is going to happen. Justice is neutral. So it hasn't been decided yet, Virgo, whether or not this secret admirer, if you're the secret admirer, if anything is going to happen. I'm going to pull an extra card I want to see. I'm too nosy. So you have the Knight of Swords. Sorry, I would say yes. Knight of Swords is rushing in with communication. So I would say that if you're interested in a person, or if they're interested in you, it does look like someone is finally going to make a move here. It could be this month. Again, it is a very good time for love. You have this crown. It says honor and respect will come to you. Yeah, I think you need to put on a crown. Like, you need to claim a crown. We definitely are in a time, I think, where like everybody needs to claim a crown. Something like some sort of authority. You know, Saturn in Aries especially. It's an excellent time to like become an authority. So there you go. You have this ring. It says a marriage will take place either in romance or business. Of course, definitely could be meeting a person that you will marry. This could also be just a commitment to the star, right? You weaving yourself into something, making it a part of who you are. And I think that is like the type of commitment that you could be making. You have this box that says you will receive a gift. I think you're getting a gift from the universe. Even the Six of Cups, there are some cards in the tarot I call clue cards. And sometimes the Six of Cups to me is a clue for a gift from the universe. So you definitely could be getting some sort of gift this month. Can't make this one up. You have this happiness card. Probably the only thing that you should focus on, honestly. I believe we have to create happiness. So like I said, anything you can do to bring more happiness, love, joy, peace, happiness, I said that twice, into the world, the better. You have this eye card that says psychic ability, trust your intuition. We are in a very intuitive time. Whenever Neptune changes signs, like it just did, now it's in Aries officially to stay. It kind of like changes our intuition, I believe, or we start working on like a different aspect of our intuition. So Neptune in Aries is going to be that like split second gut instinct intuition, that first feeling you have about things. You need to trust that, right? And so that's like the type of intuition I would be working on there. But this looks really good, Virgo. I love it. So thank you for being here. Make sure to drop a like, leave a comment. Really helps me out. And definitely enjoy your month.